welcome to this video presentation. My name is Paul Brett. I am a Senior Software Support Analyst supporting the HCL Link product. Today's topic is using the Amazon SNS adapter with HCL Link. We're going to start this demonstration at the AWS Management Console. The first application I'm going to run is the IAM application, Identity and Access Management. You will note that I have a group called SNS Group. This group has the following permissions: Amazon SNS Full Access. Any users within the group will automatically get the same permissions. In the Users tab, you will see that I have one user called HCL.user. If we click on this user now and go into the Security Credentials tab, you will note that this user has an active access key, and when I created that access key, at the time I was offered a security key which I made a note of. The access key and the security key will come in handy later when we come to design the map. So I've made a note of them here in Notepad. Let's go back to the Amazon Web Console. The next application I'm going to run is the Simple Notification Service. So I click on that now. And in the dashboard you can see that I have one topic and one subscription. In the topics view you can see I have a topic called HCL-topic-1, and when we click on that, from in there you can see the ARN I need to connect to this topic. This is another piece of information that we will later on need in the map, so I've made a note of it in my notepad here. Buried in the ARN is the region, so I've also made a note of that as it becomes part of the R parameter. Note that the hyphens become underscores for the R parameter. The last area of my connection string is going to be TV to produce an adapter trace. We'll come back to that later. Moving on to the subscriptions, you will note that I have one subscription. It is an email type subscription, and the endpoint is a temporary email address that I've set up and validated. I have another tab here to a website where I can see the emails as they come in. Back to the console. The next stage of the process involves us logging in to the HCL Link design server, which I shall do now. When I connect, you will note that I currently have no projects, so the first thing I need to do is create one. I'm going to create a project called Project 1. We'll go into that project. I'm going to need a schema, so let's create one of those now. I shall call the schema Utility. I'm going to add one object. It's going to be an item object, and it's going to be called Text Item. And we're going to save that schema and close it, because that's all we need to do to that. Let's start the map now. We'll click Map New and we'll call this Send Message. This map currently has no source or target cards, so let's create a source card. Let's call this source card in 1. Next. I am not going to use an existing connection. I am going to use the Echo adapter. The data I'm going to send in is, this is a message from HCL Link. I'm also going to turn on this REST input flag for later when we deploy this map to the REST API. My schema, I choose Utility. The type I choose is Text Item. OK. Moving on to the more interesting card now, the output card. So I choose Create Target. I give it the name Out1. Click Next. Again, I'm not going to use an existing connection. The type is going to be Amazon SNS. And let's go back to the previous step, and I am going to use the command line connection type. So from my notepad, I'm just going to copy all of these into my connection. I may have to take the carriage returns out first. So let's do that now. Copy them into the clipboard and paste those in. Let's click next. Okay, so on failure rollback, that's fine, and from the schema we're going to use exactly the same schema, utility text item. Okay, so that's our map complete. We'll add our input card to the canvas and finish off our mapping rules. We're basically copying input to output. So our map is now complete. In theory, when I build and run this map, it will send a message to any endpoints that are registered as deliverable endpoints to the topic. So let's do that now. Let's click Save and Build and Run. The map reports that it has completed successfully, and if we go into our Fake Email tab, you will note that we've received one email from AWS Notifications. If we click on that, we should have the message, "This is a message from HCL link." So the message has gone through the Amazon SNS network and been delivered as an endpoint subscriber via email. Okay, let's go back and delete that message now, and back to our map designer. And the next thing that we're going to do is deploy that map via the REST API. For this, we need to add the map to a package. So let's click on the Home button and go into the Deploy section and click on Packages. We're going to click the plus button here and create a new package called Package 1. We're going to take elements from Project 1, and the element we're going to take is the map send message. Okay, that has been added to package 1. Before we deploy this package, I will just show you the REST API current endpoints defined. Refresh this page. There's nothing defined at the moment. When I deploy this package, using the rocket ship button there to the local REST API, deployed successfully. We go back to the Swagger page and refresh, and you'll note that we have two endpoints to run the map, either synchronously or asynchronously. Within the Swagger documentation, we can try this map out straight away. So we click Try It Out. We are going to send in some text. We're going to edit the text that we send, and we're going to put "This is a message from REST API," and click Execute. If I scroll down, we've got a message here telling us that the map was executed successfully. We go back to Fake Email, and we should see a new mail appear from AWS. Let's hit the refresh button. There we go. And this has the message, "This is a message from REST API." So there we go. Executing a map from both the design server and the REST API to deliver messages to Amazon SNS subscribers. As a final task, we can copy the curl command from the Swagger UI page, open up a command prompt, and start the curl command from the command prompt, altering the message as required. I'm going to change it to DOS window, and I'm going to press enter. And this has delivered a message using the curl command that has called the REST API and delivered yet another message to my topic, which will be pushed out to all of the subscribers. Let's go to our fake email address, go back to the inbox, and we should see a second message that we haven't opened yet. That's this one from 2 minutes ago. This is a message from DOS window. And before I finish up my demonstration for today, I just want to make a note that from the SNS application, the list of subscribers that you can actually create includes being able to add a mobile phone to the list of subscribers and have messages delivered by SMS. You put the endpoint in as a mobile number, and every time you send a message from your map, it will be received as a text message on your mobile phone, which I think is pretty cool.